We're live. What's going on?
Hey,
Hi.
g'day
Hello.
everyone. We're here. We're here with our friend all the way from the Netherlands. Now he's actually an Australian, but he's over in the Netherlands, and we're gonna dig into why. I'm sure we will. But a big, massive welcome to Josh Monk. Thanks for joining us at
Yeah.
5 to 5 in the morning over there.
Oh, so
That's
early.
dedication to the podcast, my man.
No worries. I would wake up for this every day if I needed to. Oh, I think I probably get tired of doing anything
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
every
Every
to be,
day
to
at
be
4
honest.
o'clock.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd run
Yeah,
out
but
of
no,
things to
I'm
talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah, nah, it's good to have you, man.
no.
We're looking forward to digging into a little bit about your music and stuff like that. But before we get started into music, tell us about why you're in Europe instead of Sydney.
So the super simple answer is my girlfriend is Dutch.
Okay.
Yep,
So
Yeah.
makes
that'll
sense.
do
We
it.
we do a bit
That'll
of
do it.
we, we do a bit of global ping pong, I suppose, when it comes to Australia and the Netherlands. So we were in Australia for a little bit. Last year we stayed in Tassie, and it was funny. Like on the plane, both of us were kind of like, "Oh, I shouldn't have left Tassie. Like Tassie's just the place.
Yeah, you like Tassie, do you?
Um, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's nice, slow
Yeah.
pace. There's lots of mountains. Apparently it's the most mountainous island on the world in the world,
Yeah,
Wow.
right. Okay. I've never been
which
there.
is
Hey.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, pace is really nice. The people are lovely. The weather was good, and nice beaches. I'm a mountain biker, and there's an
Okay.
amazing bike park there as well. And yeah, it was just, and we were also super lucky with the place that we found to rent because it was like a 3 bedroom, 2-story house for like $500 a week. And we were like,
Yeah,
Wow.
okay.
how the hell did we find this? And that's like the nicest thing because I'm used to, in Sydney, it's like a $500 a week place is like a very
Shoebox.
small 1 bedroom. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
So to have that place, we were just like, we shouldn't leave. And then we came to the Netherlands and it got cold and dark and wet and windy and flat very quick.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
really?
I was like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And so
Uh,
it's there. Is it winter over there at the moment then, or what?
it's currently winter, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think yesterday was like 2 degrees, and
Wow.
yeah, I'm not built for this climate, and I've struggled a lot.
Yeah.
Thankfully, though, the last time I was here, um, it was considerably worse because there was COVID going on. I
Mhm.
Yep.
think August 2020 is when, obviously, sorry, August 2020 is when I landed here. Um, and then during that November, December period was like curfews and it was
Mm.
dark. It was so dark.
Yeah,
And I think
Yeah.
right.
I think as a coping mechanism, I didn't realize it was a coping mechanism until I thought about it later on. But I just got into uh, playing video games and just watching stuff, but just like for 9 or 10 hours at a time, like just not moving because I was like, well, what else is there to do?
Mhm.
And I ended
Yeah.
up putting like 1,000 hours into Doom Eternal. Like I was just
Wow.
stuck on it. And I mean, I love that game so much. I was kind of happy to be doing that, but at the same
Yeah.
time, looking back on it, I was thinking, oh man, I think I could have done something a bit more productive, like
Yeah.
maybe start making my music earlier because
Yeah.
I only started making Sugar Spine music until um I arrived back in Australia in August 2021. And that
Right.
was when I was in the mandatory lockdown, so the mandatory quarantine rather. So I was taken from the flight straight into a hotel, and then stuck there for 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I'm back in Australia now, so that's okay. And I just started making music in the hotel room for 2 weeks, and
How'd you
then
find being put in
came.
there for 2 weeks?
I really liked it.
What? Yeah,
Wow.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
I don't mind being, I guess, by myself, and I don't mind having. I mean, look, ideally, I'd like the windows to open, but at the same time, uh, yeah, I guess it was a whole year that I was also trying to fight to get a visa. So I spent
Mm.
about, I'd say, the best part of 9 or 8 months stressing about whether I was allowed to be in that country or not,
Yeah, okay.
and it was quite exhausting. So to be back in a country, or at least back in a place in which you're actually allowed to be, that feeling kind of just washed over me for two
Yeah.
weeks. So I was just
Yep.
really happy and relaxed, and
Yeah.
um, I think that's where that's why my creative side kind of came back again because I
Yeah.
really wasn't doing much, I felt, in terms of music production or creation when I was in the Netherlands, just because I was so stressed about stuff. So yeah, I immediately
Yeah.
just started feeling everything coming out, and it was so wonderful. So yeah, 2 weeks
Yeah.
was not enough apparently.
Yeah, right. So how
Yeah,
long did it
that's
take you
crazy.
to then write these songs, and did you record them as soon as you got out of the hotel?
So my friend Connor actually brought my guitar from my place to the hotel, and he said, "Hey, if you're bored, man, here's your guitar." And I said, "Oh, thank you." And I just started writing music in the hotel.
Yeah.
He brought his little interface for me, and I had Logic on my computer, so I just started making stuff. I actually had my microphone too because I bought this
Yep.
this delicious Shure SM7B mic. It's like what everyone uses, but damn, it's such a weapon of a thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I brought this back to Australia from the Netherlands because it was cheaper to buy in the Netherlands, and I was actually doing some vocals in the hotel room,
Yeah, right.
and
Okay.
I was like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, they would have
Honestly,
been
like,
hearing you from down the hallway, fucking
I
screaming
don't
away.
give
Yeah, yeah.
a shit. I've
That's
spent a
sick.
year stressing. It's my time. Like, I'm just gonna scream now. If you think that I'm dying, it's okay. Like,
Yeah,
a lot of people
exactly.
are probably stressing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Get some hotel security on the gang vocals when they come to like do a fucking
Out the
welfare
door.
check.
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, hi, we just wanted to see if you're doing okay. It's like, I'm,
Like,
I'm
yeah, can you
great.
just come in here and yell, "Your face looks better bleeding" for me? That'd be fantastic. Well,
Wow,
let's
that's
take it back.
Buried in Verona.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah. Good pickup.
Stop it.
Good
Very good
pickup.
That took me
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
back. That took me back to yo-yos.
Well,
Oh,
speaking
wow.
of taken back, we always like to start, especially when we talk about the music stuff, about, I guess, where your music journey starts. So talk us through, obviously you're a guitarist. When did you pick that up? What's your kind of journey with music as a whole, from a kid to where you are now?
Okay, so when I think I was 7, I started playing the trumpet.
Okay.
And
Yeah, right.
yeah, that was that. I think that's easily the foundation for where my appreciation and understanding for music came from, without a
Yeah,
doubt.
right.
Um,
Okay.
I think you're our first
I-
trumpeteer we've ever had. Is
Yeah, I
it
don't think we've
trumpeteer?
ever
Is
had
that
a
what you call them? I
the
don't know.
musketeer.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
man,
getting
trumpeter,
Trumpeter?
Trumpster.
I don't know what it is.
Trumpster,
It's
yeah.
Trumpster, yeah.
Trumpist.
But yeah, I think you're the first trumpist, let's call it, that we've had on the podcast. So that's
Trumpet
there you go.
operator.
You got another title. Earliest pod that we've ever recorded in terms
Man.
of your
Yeah.
time.
And first
And
brass.
now first brass. Oh, surely we've had someone else that's
Have we had any
dabbled in
Surely
some
there's
brass.
saxophonists?
Someone else that must be a brass hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have
haven't
to
heard of
go
that.
back through the catalog. But either way, I think you're the first trumpet player that I can remember. Someone will get in the DMs and be like, "Mate, we had this conversation
Come on.
6 weeks ago. I
Yeah,
told you
yeah.
about my oboe." But
My fucking tuba.
I can't believe this whole time I've been playing trumpet. I've never heard the term brass hole.
Yeah, yeah. You'd think.
I do
I
love
am
a pun.
so sad. I'm so sad.
Well, you can use that one any other time when you're
Thank
talking
you.
with your
Thank
trumpet
you.
friends.
So I'm surprised that you haven't had any trumpet making its way into the old Sugar Spine stuff.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Oh.
Oh, really? Is there
Yes,
one that
it is-
we missed with a bit of trumpet in
in-
there? Is there?
In a song called Sensation, it's like towards the end.
Yeah.
It just kind of stops. It's after this like big chaotic like and then it
Yeah.
stops, and then you just hear this, "Ooh-doo," and that's actually a trumpet, but with a bit crusher plug-in.
Oh, sick.
And like basically it's just like down sampled,
Yeah.
distortion way up, and
Yeah.
so there is a little bit of trumpet in there.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Hidden trumpet though.
Hidden, yeah,
behind
but it
fucking
kinda has
plugins.
this- hidden behind plugins, big time.
Yeah.
But it, yeah, I was like, oh, there needs to be something creepy here, and for some reason that day, I was like, oh, I haven't played my trumpet in a while, so I just like pulled it out of its case, and I was like, oh, this is fun, and then I just put the microphone on. I was just starting to play stuff, and I thought this is perfect.
Yeah, that's
But,
killer.
Yeah, but going back to when I was starting it, so yes, I think I got it when I was about 7, and then I practiced trumpet for about 15 or 16 years or something.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've got like a lot of a jazz background.
Okay.
like one of my favorite singers actually is Ella Fitzgerald, and her, I guess, just the way that she sings, that really beautiful kind of lofty tone, was something that influenced my vocals as well, at least in the singing part of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was like from when I was 7 all the way through high school. I was in a jazz band, and
No shit.
I was in the what do you NSWE is the acronym, New South Wales Wind Ensemble, I think that was. So that was fun.
Nestle.
Nestle.
NSWE?
NSWE, there you go.
Something like that. But
Yeah.
and then I was also thinking about this yesterday because it's the 20-year anniversary of Meteor from Linkin Park. I was thinking, when did I actually start listening to these guys? And I think it was when I was about 7 or something years old, because I played guitar for the first time around that kind of time as well.
Quick side note, did you listen to the new unreleased song that just came out? What'd you think of it?
Yeah. You know what? If they released it, if Chester were alive and they released that song today and went, hey, we got a new song, I think it reminds me of Meteora, but it's like not 100%.
Yeah.
That's why they probably left it out, I feel, because it's not a full Meteora track.
Yeah.
However, I was a little, I don't want to say emotional, but I was kind of like a bit sad hearing his voice and then the lyrics too. I was like,
and it was a big chorus. Like, I think that was the song didn't have a lot of other substance. I think they obviously nailed the chorus, but they weren't able to get the rest down. Like, you know what I mean? Find something to really make the rest pop. But that chorus was like absolute. Have you listened to it, Tyz?
I listened to like the first half of it. I didn't get to hear the full thing.
But the chorus was just like the pinnacle of Chester's ability. And but yeah, I just don't, there was nothing else in the song that really was a game changer. You can see why it just probably didn't make the cut, but still cool to hear something, you know, unreleased with his voice all these years later.
Yeah,
that's exactly the thing. That's what makes it more special. Like, it could have just been a vocal track of him singing, I don't know, Back in Black. It could have been the most ridiculous thing, but I mean,
I hope they've got a few more. Now I'm like, surely there's something else that, like,
they'd have to have fucking
think
heaps.
Wall of Sound said they have like 6 more or something like that.
No shit.
I think I'm gonna have to reread the article, but yeah, I'm super excited because I went down the rabbit hole yesterday and started listening to Meteor and everything, and I was like, oh,
so many good songs on that album, man.
Yeah. And
holy crap!
Hybrid Theory as well.
Hybrid Theory is out of this one.
Yeah.
Imagine,
they've got a Hybrid
that
Theory
being your
unreleased.
first album.
Yeah, I know,
album. God,
I know.
Shits me. It's like that, and then the self-title from Slipknot. It's like, imagine that being your first freaking album.
Killing with a Smile, Parkway Drive is the one we always talk about.
Yeah.
Don't Close Your Eyes was their first album, was it?
That was an EP, wasn't it?
That was an EP, I thought.
It's EP? Oh,
EP
okay, but yeah, Killing with a Smile nonetheless. Give me AD. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
When Give Me AD comes through, that's like the perfect opener.
Yeah.
Just to melt your face off.
So you like?
Anyway, we keep getting sidetracked.
You like Slipknot? You like Slipknot?
Yeah, I love Slipknot.
It's funny you mention that because when I was listening to some of your songs, I actually got a bit of a Slipknot vibe from it. Hey. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah,
enough for me to mention it now.
Yeah, no, for sure. The first song, which was called Go Outside, that was the one that I recorded in quarantine. Super Slipknot influenced.
Yeah.
And you can easily hear it too. There's like a, what do you call it? A scratch pad. Then there's one thing as well that was super Slipknot-y, but I forgot now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like vocally, Corey in his Iowa era, I think every metal vocalist in my kind of area of style or whatever you want to call it says this, but yeah, around his Iowa era, like a massive influence for me. Just raw, unfiltered rage coupled with a delicious amount of distortion, like perfect.
Yeah.
So
fucking oath.
yeah, no, Slipknot, big influence, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna say that the first thing I learned on guitar was the opening, what would you call it, melody on like the harmonic melody to Easier to Run by Linkin Park.
Yeah, no shit.
Because it's like kind of simple.
Yeah.
It's like what 5 notes or something. But yeah, I just remember being like, oh mom, watch this, and then I'm playing like this cute little melody. She's like, oh, that's nice. Like you're learning nice music. That's cool. And then like
Little did
6
she
months
know.
later,
Yeah, little did she know.
6 months
yeah.
later, I'm like, Mom, check this one out. It's like Static X, and then it goes
Oh,
to
wow.
Mom, check this one out. It's like Diseased and the Poison by Carnifex, Genesis by Job for a Cowboy, Cleansing
Oh
by
Wow.
Suicide Silence. And
God.
It
she's
just got
like,
progressively heavier and heavier.
yeah, she's like, what happened?
Yeah.
Did we fail you? I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
Where did it go wrong? Yeah,
When,
yeah.
when you're
fucking
playing
hell.
JFAC, you know, some shit's happened. Shit's done
Yeah,
changed.
I
Yeah.
think that's the first album I bought on CD was Disease and the Poison by Carnifex, and then it was Genesis, and that
Yep.
was, man, I didn't even know what they sounded like when I like until I bought that CD, and when I think Bearing the Serpent's Lamb, it's the first track off that album. Holy shit! I think I was like 14 or something
Yeah.
when I heard this. And I was
Yeah.
like, is this what metal sounds like? Like really?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I was completely sold on it after.
Yeah, it's full
Was
on.
there
So-
like was there an other influence of something early? Because obviously that's a big jump from Linkin Park. So was there something else like around that kind of
Yeah.
was your segue into that stuff?
Yeah, you know the video game SmackDown versus Raw.
Yeah, fucking oath, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a pretty sick ass soundtrack on that. I can't remember which year it was, but I think it maybe 2004.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think because then that I would have been 9. Yeah, something like that. There's Power Man 5000 on that and Static X, and I remember
Yeah.
hearing Start a War by Static X and being like, oh, this is really fast, angry music. I'm kind of interested in this. This is like a really,
Yeah.
really angry Linkin Park. And then
Yeah.
I started listening to that, and then my mum was like, "Oh, just like, is it heavy?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty heavy, mum." And trying to be all edgy, I suppose, when I was like 10 or something. Like, yeah, this is metal.
Yeah, yeah.
And then yeah, I went straight down the rabbit hole after that. Wayne Static's voice, like, because it was just that really perfect kind of gravelly aggressive tone. I was like, this is super cool, and I was always like amazed by his hair because it's like it
Yeah,
just stands
straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so cool. You're a cool guy. And then I guess it just snowballed from there. And then with Slipknot, I found Slipknot via a big day out live footage thing on Channel V. I was around the lounge room of the house, and then that was just playing in the background. I turned around and I was like, oh, these guys are wearing masks. That's kind of cool. And they start playing Pulse of the Maggots. And I was like, holy crap, this is the coolest thing I've ever
Yeah,
heard.
that's a
And I was
good
like,
song,
that
man.
guy's-
That's a good
Pulse of the
song.
Maggots is out of this world.
Yeah.
Good. Volume
Yeah.
3 is just a fantastic album, and there's not a single swear word on it, which is really funny.
Yeah.
I've never even noticed that. Is that true?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so after Iowa, there was some critic who basically said Corey Taylor can't write a song unless it's got fuck or shit in it because he uses those as filler words,
Yeah.
and he took that personally, and I guess as a response, the next album, had 0 swear words
No
in it because he wanted
shit.
to prove to people that he just didn't rely
Yeah.
on those words.
And then the
to
album
get
after
by.
that, he's swearing again.
Yeah, for sure. He was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Off duty.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so Pulse of the Maggots was the first song I heard from them, and that's 100% when my brain was like, okay, this is the music that is going to be stuck with me for the rest of my life. And yeah, just from then it just kind of got, I guess, better or worse depending on how you see it, but I'd say better.
Yeah,
just
fucking
got
oath.
into the gnarliest stuff I could find. I remember in high school I tried to like make a name for myself as like the guy with the heaviest music on his iPod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some fantastic stuff that I found.
No shit.
I guess
Yeah,
Anal
I
Cunt,
bet.
of course, was one of the heavy ones, but
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
it just
yeah.
it just gets worse. I even found one called Japanese Torture Comedy Hour, and that's literally just noise. Like the genre is noise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's just like just noise. It's just
Yeah,
pure noise.
yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
And you were like, that needs to be on my iPod.
yeah, people are like, "What's the heaviest thing?" I'm like, "Listen to this." And they're like, it's just noise. I'm like, "It literally is."
It's just white. It's just white noise.
It's
It's just TV
like,
static.
Yeah.
It's like a mixture of TV static screaming with like full on distortion, guitars downtuned, overtuned, and just stuff, and just obviously lots of synth layers and stuff. Funnily enough, the opening track for that EP, I can't remember what it is, but I'll have to find out for you. That actually influenced the start of Gutter Paint, which is like the boop 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 boop,
Yeah.
like that kind of almost sounds like Predator's wrist detonator
Yeah.
before it explodes. That was influenced by Japanese torture comedy.
Yeah,
hour as well,
right.
actually.
Okay. No
Yeah.
shit. There you go.
So is
Yeah.
did you like have any bands when you were a teenager? Like, did you have any stuff there before? Obviously, we get into the Sugar Spine. What's your kind of connection
Yeah.
to music and bands or creating music when you were
Yeah.
a teenager as well?
So I think from the moment I was like 14, that's when I probably got my first electric guitar and started making metal. But before that, I had an acoustic. I think when I was like 12 or 13, started making just just acoustic songs. And oh yeah, after I got my electric, which was an Axel Wave Point, it's the most metal, the most cheap ass metal guitar you could see
It's like a
find.
BC Rich.
Um, I don't know. It's literally called an Axel Wave Point.
Okay. All
Like
right.
I just found it at Billy Hyde Music, and I was like, oh, it's black and it's got a really big spike. I want that
Yeah,
one. And
yeah,
then,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and that was it. It had EMG pickups though, so it was just
Okay.
like
Yeah. Cool.
gang,
Classics.
gang, gang, the whole
Classics.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when I was like 15, I was making some music with some friends, and I was like, hey, I've got some songs I wrote. Like, we should play them, and that lasted like 2 weeks. Because my parents didn't like playing or like us playing metal in the house because we didn't have like a space like a garage to play. It was just in
Yeah.
the living
Okay.
room, so it was
Oh
just
no
like
shit. Wow.
full blown death metal. So I mean, cheers to my parents for at least allowing that to
Yeah.
happen
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
Um, so that didn't work out, and then I think when I got to high school, that's when music properly started to take shape in a live setting. So I started joining. Well, I guess I put together a band with a couple of my friends. We called that went through name changes. I think we were called like Your World in Flames, and then we ended up just calling ourselves Changes because we were actually we were super influenced by that album from For the Fallen Dreams.
Yeah. Okay.
So we started playing shows at a local place called Yo-Yo's, like the little youth center in French's Forest. And yeah, we just had some fun there. So we were playing with bands like the Driftwood Theory, which was like a big band for us at the time. So this big Sydney deathcore band,
Yeah.
with like very reminiscent of the Red Shore.
Oh, I love Red Shore. Yeah.
Red Shaw's
I
cool.
love the Red Shore so much. I
Yeah.
was on an Avarice of Man phase a couple of weeks ago, actually, just going through that album.
Yeah,
That's
no shit.
that was with the new vocalist. I think his
Yeah. I
name's
know the one
Chase
you're referring
Butler.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, his vocals are insane, but no one can
Yeah.
come close to I've forgotten the original vocalist's name.
Yeah. The guy with the long hair. I can't remember his name either.
Yeah, his vocals were just so good, especially in
Insane.
Unconsecrated, and yeah.
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 But yeah, so we started playing stuff like that. Well, we started playing more metalcore kind of stuff, and I guess once that kind of died off after, I think it was like maybe when I was like 16, my best friend Pat and I made another band, which was more melodic hardcore kind of stuff called Brightener, and that kind of existed for about a year after we left high school, and that actually kind of started turning a couple heads, and that was
Yeah,
kind of
cool.
making things happen because it was it was very reminiscent of Counterparts and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And for one song, we released a really cool single, and that had Joel from Being as an Ocean on
Yeah.
it.
No shit.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it was like, yeah, it was so cool. And then we found out that he was coming, or they were coming to Sydney to they were doing an Australian tour, and I messaged a friend of mine who was either the booking agent for it or he knew someone. I said, dude, please let us be the opener for the Sydney show. Like
Yeah.
I would die. And we did. We got on the spot for we got the opening spot for that show. And I went up to Joel and I said, hey man, I don't know if you remember me, but we were speaking and you sang on one of our songs, and he was like, yes, hello, so good to meet you. Gave me a big hug, and he was just like, dude, like I'm so happy to meet you in person. It's so
That's
cool.
sick.
And I said, I have a question for you. He was like, are you playing that song live? I said, yeah. He said, can I do my part? It's like, that was my question.
Yeah.
So
That's killer.
so he's the headliner. And some bands, they kind of like to stay
Yeah.
mysterious and in the background until
Yeah.
they appear. He was the first band, he's like up on stage singing that
That's
part of the
killer.
song. So that was like the coolest thing. And that was definitely a moment where I was like, I want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that band broke up because everyone was doing a whole bunch of different things. So actually, one of the guys who was in the band, who was the bassist, Lockie, he's now the guitarist for Dear Seattle.
Oh yeah. I've heard of
Oh,
them.
yeah. Yeah. I've
Yeah.
heard of them.
So
Yeah.
those guys are so wonderful. Bray and Lockie, they're just beautiful people. So that band actually ended up breaking up, and then I had a long stint of not doing a lot of music, but I still was making music. I was just doing like a lot of Matt Corby-ish kind of music as well in the
Okay,
meantime,
cool.
because I also love to make that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But then yeah, I guess kind of time passed, and it got to August 2021 when I landed back in Australia, and I was just thinking, oh, I'd love to make more music, like really angry music, and
Yeah.
I also wasn't influenced heavily by anything at the time, but I just had a need to make something, and that's when the Sugar Spine stuff came out. So um, it's probably subconsciously influenced by a lot of stuff. Like I was listening to a lot of Employed to Serve's latest album when I started making the music. I think it's called Conquering. That's a sick album. That's
okay.
like such a sick album. And yeah, I was like, okay, now's the time to make music. And I started making it. It's like a mixture of thrash, deathcore, and hardcore and punk. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun with this, but
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone else would listen to this. Then I put the song out, and then I think 3 months later, it had like 10,000 views on YouTube on the Circle Pit, the channel that put it up for me.
Okay.
And I was like, oh shit, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. For your
Like,
first
like-
shot. Was that under Sugar
First-
Spine?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So was that go
Oh.
outside or?
yeah. That was Go Outside.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the lyrics are ridiculous on that one too. Like that's the thing. Like the whole idea for this project was like just have fun. So the lyrics were the epitome of having fun. It's like about as useless as a bull with tits is what I put in there at one point.
Yeah.
It's like,
Okay. Yeah. Sick.
like someone who's not Australian will be like, that's a weird thing to say. And I'm
Yeah. Well, have you
Cool.
noticed over there in the Netherlands that if you speak with your full Australian kind of accent, they struggle to even understand what you're saying? Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
don't speak with my full on Australian accent.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, my accent is not like crazy Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do find here that instead of saying, "Can I have a bottle of water?" I will say, "Can I please have a bottle of water?" Because they
Yeah.
will.
Right.
Like even I was at the Dying Fetus show last Saturday, and I just said water, and he said water, and I was like water, and he's like,
Oh,
okay.
no shit. You had to put the accent on it.
Yeah, water alsjeblieft. Yeah, to speak a
Fucking
little bit
hell.
of Dutch too. But I mean, it was also when Dying Fetus was actually playing, so that might have been,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
like it's not fair. But yeah, I do have to kind of put my accent down a little bit for sure.
Yeah, a friend of mine, he was living in Switzerland for a bit. And he was like, he's stuck over there because of COVID. And
Yeah.
he used to listen to our podcast, right? And he'd be like, oh, it's so good, like hearing the boys just like chat the way you chat and talk shit and whatever. And then
Yeah.
he told me recently, he was like, oh, so I'll be sitting there like showing my missus like, you know, just bits of the episode, and she was like, I know they're speaking English, but I got no fucking idea what they're saying. Like,
And we're pretty bogan. Like,
when it comes to
in
the
some ways
slang,
when
yeah.
And we talk with hella just random shit that's not English anyway.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be helpful to anyone trying to tune
So
in. Just
good.
like, but which is weird
Yeah.
because we have this like. Remember when we first started doing episodes? Where was it? We had like this huge Spanish following.
Oh
Was
yeah,
it
no,
Spain?
it
Yeah.
was it Spain or Brazil?
No, I think it was Spain. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because remember
okay.
we were saying the Spaniards. We kept saying that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
surely I don't know. Maybe the algorithm just broke somehow, and we've just got a bunch of like Spaniards,
Spaniards tuning in.
But
Hey, shout out to all the Spaniards still listening right
yeah,
now.
if you're still here, the
yeah,
day
yeah,
ones.
yeah, the day ones. We
Day
love
one
ya.
Spaniards, we love you. Hey, I was going to say while we're talking
That's
about
so
Sugar
funny.
Spine, yeah, obviously I really enjoy it. I think it's very unique in a good way. I picked
you.
up, yeah, like I've got, you know, me and Ryan do this all the time, but you try to pick up what the sounds are throughout it, and there's so much going on, but it doesn't
Yeah.
seem out of place. So that's my big feedback for you, is that there's
Cool.
so many different bits and pieces, but it does gel very well together.
Especially in your most recent one, the Throat Full of Ash. That
That felt
Yeah.
like a level up from
Yeah, big step up
the
from the
other
other
stuff
ones.
as well.
Yeah.
There was a
I
bit
feel
at
like
the
that
end
too,
of,
but thank you so much.
yeah, no worries. There was a bit at the end of that song, and you can, I mean, you haven't mentioned these bands in your thing, but there was a bit at the end, and the kind of like chords and everything was like very like Atreyu and Avenged Sevenfold at the end of. That's what I got out of that like end sort of melodic bit of that song.
You mean like the bum 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 bum
Yeah.
bum bum bum?
Yeah, that bit.
Holy
Yeah,
shit!
that's what I
Avenged
got out of that.
Sevenfold. I never thought that, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, it must be like the notes you chose, I guess.
Yeah,
like
I think so. They just had that, the very eerie sort
Yeah.
of sound of, and I was massive. That was like my kind of foray into heavy music. Like again, it was like not Parkway Drive, Lincoln Park. You know, even like Fallout Boy and stuff like that to start with, and then it goes like, you know, Escape the Fate, Atreyu, Avenged Sevenfold is my whole like teenage music. So that's where I'm probably picking up on those because like they're so embedded in my head. But yeah, no, that was the thing that I picked up from that end bit. But just very good. Vocals are very good, man. Like you're onto something there, man. So definitely keep at it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and I'm definitely at it. There's an album being recorded right now as we speak. And speaking of Spaniards, my friend Sebastian Senden, who is from Barcelona, he will be mixing and mastering it. And
Awesome.
he has had a hand in mixing the album Shrine from Bleed From Within.
Yeah,
and
cool.
He also helped mix the latest Periphery record because he worked under Adam Nolly Get Good for about, I think he said 4 or 5 years. Could be wrong, but yeah, he's the coolest person.
And
like,
did he do Throatful of Ash?
He did Throatful of Ash.
Yeah,
you can hear there's a massive step up in production
you can
from
hear
the EP.
it, man. Yeah.
The EP was in my bedroom. Like I mixed that one, I produced that one, and then I sent it to a guy called Ryan from 105mm Studios in the UK to master that.
Yep.
And I remember saying like, "Hey man, how's this sound?" He's like, "It's good, but you've really like not given me much to work with because I basically just turned everything fucking all the way up and then put the bass all the way up because I mixed it on AirPods, which is like such a rookie era.
So you didn't even have monitors and shit?
No, I just did that with AirPods.
Yeah, okay.
So I mean, it sounds okay considering. I think. At the same time, at the same time, I was like, oh, let's put some monitors on this table. So, yeah. But Throwful of Ash is definitely a step up, and I wrote that in a more comfortable setting as well. I wasn't so stressed, or I think because when I was writing the EP, it was off the back of the single because people were like, "Hey, you should make more," and I was like, oh, "Okay," and I just kind of like I went for it.
Yeah.
And I think I was like 7 songs for the EP in, and I remember finishing that and being like, I'm really tired because I just kind of I locked myself away, I suppose, and just did it. But then, once Throat Full of Ash, once it was time to make another song, I didn't do it because I felt like I needed to. It was like, I've got an idea. And then I just sat down and just went, And then that last chord progression thing came a little bit after because I was like, I'm not happy finishing it on that. It's almost like Wait and Bleed kind of transition in a way. Like it's like that spoken vocal, I guess, kind of thing. And that thing would come a little bit later, and I remember like having it in my head and being like, and then like ran downstairs, and my girlfriend's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "Shut up!" And then I just ran downstairs and recorded it, and I was like, "Oh, this is it!" And then finished the song.
Do you know what else I think about right now as well? Thinking about it again, Doom Eternal. Like that Mick Gordon, that is very much a fucking Mick Gordon Doom Eternal like riff. When now I'm literally hearing it.
Are you talking about the riff? Are you talking about the
the
riff that has like the pinch harmonics or like those harmonics in it that goes out throughout the song? Yeah,
that was a very Slipknot thing for sure. That's like, is it Disaster Piece? I think Disaster Piece very much influenced that. And Heretic Anthem, 100% Heretic Anthem. I tried to kind of get vocals similar to that, but I didn't get it on that song. But the new songs, oh my god, man.
Okay, all right. Okay, so tell us a little bit about this next album. Are we talking like a full-length album or an EP or what are we?
Yeah, full-length album.
Yeah.
It's
just going to drip feed out heaps of singles like everyone's doing these days? Is that the plan?
No, I'm going to drop maybe 2 or 3 maximum.
Wow, okay. Interesting. All right.
A bit of a different...
and it's probably like, I understand why everyone else is drip feeding a lot of stuff. It just means more marketing.
More marketing,
More time. What's the word? More traffic.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the album's like super, super close to me. And the EP was really the EP in Throat Full of Ashes kind of, it's less personal in a way because
Okay.
it's political. Um, except for one song, Mirror Talk, which is really personal. But then this album is super, super personal. And I
Okay,
want to kind of
cool.
just release it in one big
Yep.
push.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what kind of themes do you touch on then in this album? What can we look forward to?
So it's very it's a lot of introspection.
Yeah.
I guess it comes to I guess it's with self-image. I guess with broken down friendships and I'm just trying to think now what else is going on. There's one song in there. I will be honest. I took mushrooms for the first time
Okay.
recently, and I just started writing words down, and they didn't make sense to me at the time. But then on reading them properly, I was like, oh, there's something kind of interesting here.
Yeah.
And they're really obscure lyrics, but I'm like, nah, this has to be in a song somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think that could be also like, I guess, burnout. Like burnout is definitely a big one of this album as
Yeah.
well. I think the first song, I wonder if I can say, yeah, like, the first song is called Antlers, and it's very much about that. It's about
Okay.
kind of running constantly and spinning all of these plates. And I guess at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to happen at the end of that, there are two options or two outcomes, which is either you get stuff done and you're absolutely cooked as a result, or you drop everything and
Yeah.
you have an absolute breakdown, and then you also damage the friendships and the relationships around you.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one big thing because I kind of feel like that at the moment that I've got so much stuff going on in my life that one of those two things is going to happen.
Hmm.
I think I'm leaning more on the side of getting out of it, like just grinding it to success. But then
Yeah.
at the same time, I do worry that I will just drop stuff and go, oh man, like I should have prevented this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
there's a lot of that stuff in the album. I guess, yeah, during the time that I was writing it, I had, I guess, moments of anger or moments of fear or frustration, and I just had to write it out. And with that came heavy and stuff too,
Yeah.
musically. There are some parts in this album which are like full slam breakdowns, like
Yeah.
the heaviest
Right.
things that I've ever written. And I think it's probably cocky to say because there's so much heavy stuff out there, but with what people are releasing at the moment, this stuff like kind of goes the extra mile. Like To the Grave is a good example of how heavy this
Mm,
stuff can get, just
Okay.
like
Cool.
yeah.
disgustingly heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are
But then
amazing, and I'm so glad they're back as well because they're good.
seriously, I
Yeah.
actually just I caught up with them when they were on their European tour because funny side note, Simon the drummer and we've actually known each other for like 10 or 12 years. We played a gig together at Manly Youth Centre um, underneath Make Them Suffer and Signal the Firing Squad. And
Hmm.
I borrowed his drum kit because I was drumming. I was drumming for Changes, that other band at the
Okay.
Oh
time.
wow,
And
man
I
of many
messaged him.
talents.
Yeah. Trumpet,
Oh,
drums, guitars, vocals. Like.
and yeah, I messaged him about 6 months or 5 months ago, and I said, "Hey, man, hope you're well. Just might not remember me, but we played music a little while back. I just wanted to say congrats on getting over to Europe, and if you're around, I'd love to catch up and see you." He was like, "Dude, of course I remember you. This is the fucking coolest thing ever. Let's catch up." And
Sick.
we ended up catching up and stuff, and yeah, it was super cool to see him because they've been grinding that band for like 12 years, and now they're doing
Mm.
EU tours with Shadow of Intent, Angel
Yeah.
Maker.
Wow.
Like they deserve that so much.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, anyways, I've completely lost track of where I was.
We're
Music
talking about
album.
so this new
Yeah,
album essentially, and then we're talking about some of like the topics in terms
yeah.
of like lyrical
So
content.
so lyrical content. It's just dark. It's dark as hell, and then it's also angry too. There's one song called Jackal, which is just about a person who just like I had a bad experience with someone, and that
Yeah.
kind of I guess messed me up more than I thought it would. Also goes back to I guess a childhood or not childhood, like a thing that was pretty messed up for me when I was 14, like a relationship thing, and I guess things that shouldn't have really happened to a 14-year-old kid, is whether it's like actions by myself and then how it was dealt with in high school, just like the repercussions of that. And that's something that I haven't even touched on for years and until recently. And to write about that was really scary But then
Yeah.
at the same time, it was a way to have some kind of power over it, or
Yeah.
at least to kind of recognize what effect it's had on me, and then to see if I could mitigate that. So yeah, this thing goes everywhere. It goes from slam breakdowns all the way to like emo, like pianos become the teeth kind of sounding
Yeah,
tracks
okay,
too.
sick.
So, and that was one thing about Sugar Spine, is that it doesn't have to be one specific genre. It can be anything I want it to be.
Yeah.
That's why the start of the title track, Mirror Talk, it starts with that cute little singing bit before
know.
he
Yeah,
turns into,
yeah, like he's
that
softer
guy-
than the other ones, man. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Which I was like, wow,
Before
this
he-
dude can sing, and then fucking just comes in with the brutality. I was like,
Yeah.
liking this.
It's like had us in the first half. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah,
Yeah.
There's gonna be a bit more of that as well. Like the opening song is like singing for a little bit, but then it kind of goes into the heavy side of things again. And then I think there's a song in the middle which is just singing, but it's more like a what would you call it? Like a ritualistic kind of droning ambient song. So
Okay.
it's so left of field, and I do think that some people are going to hate the hell out of it, but that's okay.
But you got to
I'm
try
not gonna
these things
please
anyway,
everyone.
because you never know. You might have a whole bunch of people going like, that was what that needed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's dead in the middle of a super heavy and aggressive and high energy album. So
Yeah.
consider it a shower during a very dirty album. It's the only way I can kind of feel about it.
Yeah.
that's
But,
fun. That's a cool way to think about it. It's so, like, we've talked about it a lot. We were talking about it with we had the boys from Loon. I don't know if you've checked those out before, but we had them on.
Those incredible music.
Yeah, so good. They're so good. But we were talking about their
Yeah.
co-headline tour with Relica, who I just can't stop talking about those guys. They're amazing. But again, it's that thing of like doing something that some people probably would listen to that and go, that's not for me. But if you experiment and don't play it safe, there's a lot of other people that are like, this shit fucking slaps. Like, you know, it's their kind of blend of this, not having a screamer, then having all of these really like pretty, you know, piano laden parts, and then just brutality, and it doesn't feel out of place. It's hard to do that and pull it off. And it's what, you know, the compliment I gave you before about it's a fine line to walk, to pull from so many different genres and so many different things, and have it sound like it's meant to go together, as opposed to sounding like noise, as you were saying before with that. But you know what I mean? There is a fine line there, and a lot of people don't. You know, they'll stick to the classic formula of a, you know, metalcore or whatever song, and if the talent's there, it'll shine through, and it'll sound good enough. But the things that really catch people's attention are, you know, when you're able to layer genres on top of each other, and pull different influences, and then make it kind of come together well. And we're kind of seeing this evolution, and I think as well, where we've got some of our old favorite bands, their sounds evolving into what we've talked about before as like not really having like it doesn't feel like technically like that they're really trying to create something like that, whereas a lot of the up and coming bands are the ones that are like, you know, experimenting with different sounds, but the talent and everything there, it doesn't feel like just a cheap ploy to, you know, bring new people in or, you know, get more listeners without really putting in that effort, or the passion's not there. Whereas like, you know, younger bands are having some sounds that are softer or whatever it may be as well, but they're layering in things where you're like, oh, this still sounds fucking amazing. You can tell there's passion into what they're making, and it's not just like a, you know, let's just slap this together. So we're in it. We keep saying this every episode, but I think we're in a really cool time in the heavy music scene at the moment. I think these coming out of COVID, everyone's just going fucking crazy, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the exact same way. I think I said during COVID to a friend of mine, I said, I bet you after all this stuff kind of chills out and we go back outside, there's going to be some sick albums that are going to be released.
I literally said the same thing, bro. Yeah.
Lo and behold, here we are. So
yeah.
It's so cool. Alt is a really cool band who've been releasing some amazing music.
Yep.
So are you referring to like ALLT or ALT full stop?
ALT full stop. Oh no, ALLT. Okay, yeah.
They're like German band or whatever they are. They're from Europe.
Yeah, they're on a rising empire. Yeah.
Yeah, they're heavy as fuck, bro.
Is it ALT or ALLT? I thought it was. I think we're talking about the same band though.
Nah, because ALT they're not that heavy. That's who I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, ALLT.
ALLT.
Yeah.
Okay, ALLT.
Because they've got ones like Paralyzed and Emanate and Deep Blue Silence, Severance.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're heavy as fuck.
yeah.
They're sick, bro.
Yeah. It's
There's,
super
there's,
cool.
there's another Adelaide band called ALT Full Stop.
Ah,
Yeah, and we
okay.
and like
Yeah,
every
they're
now and
from
then
Adelaide.
we kind of get them confused because like but they're a little
That's
bit
fair.
more what are they more like, man? They're more they're not like heavy. More like alternate. I wouldn't say alternate rock because they're still heavy, but
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
a bit
but
more.
they're okay.
yeah.
And another band, Atlas. They are so cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had
They
them
are
on the
so
pod.
damn cool.
We had them
And
on
I
the
listened
pod.
to it.
and-
So
yeah,
sick.
did you? Except for my microphone
So
didn't
sick.
Yeah,
fucking
he's
work the whole
oh my
time,
god,
but-
we're so fucking devastated about that.
because it was an
man.
incredible episode.
Yeah.
Like it was one of our favorite band ones for sure. Those guys are just
Yeah.
legends.
Oh, man.
And but yeah, sucked that the mic didn't work, and we were like, look, let's just release it because it's too good of an
Yeah.
episode to throw away.
Yeah,
and you can still
Yeah.
hear me. If I was lucky, we were next to each other. Like if it was like this scenario, and I just like. You couldn't hear my mic the whole time, it would be throwaway. But because you could
Yeah.
hear me, the audio just sucked. It was like, just release it.
Yeah.
Just release it.
And
Yeah.
get
when
it
they
out
come
there to
when
the
they when they
people.
come here next, we said to him, we're like, you're gonna come here to my house and we're actually gonna do like a live podcast. That
Yeah.
way there's
That'd be
zero
so
chance.
Yeah.
Zero chance of the mics fucking
We'll
up.
do a test run. We'll record 5 minutes, like stop
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
and like make
yeah.
sure everything's working, and then go. All right, we can start the pod.
yeah.
That's a good move.
If we were going to write an
No.
album, like a Wormholes podcast album, it would be called Technical Difficulties.
Technical,
like-
without a fucking
yeah,
doubt, bro.
we've already got our
We've
album
been
name. So
plagued.
if you want to do some
How many-
guesties,
Yeah.
Yeah.
down the track on our Wormholes
Hey,
podcast.
we totally should. One of the songs should be called Plagued.
Yes,
Definitely.
That's actually a cool idea because now we're doing all these bands, and obviously you write music as well. We should do like a Wormholes album and just get guesties from all the bands that have come
We
on
fucking
there.
should. I think
That's
that
a
I'll
good
write a
idea.
whole bunch of
That's-
instrumentals, right?
Yeah.
And then
That
we'll just
is
go
a
to
sick
everybody and be
idea.
like, all right, whack in a verse here, whack in a chorus here, and then
Yeah.
that'd be fucking sick.
And then just create the
Be fun as fuck.
Wormholes collab, dude. That shit would go
Yeah, that'd
hard as fuck.
that'd-
Especially because we had like a lot of different.
yeah.
Did you
different
listen to the
types.
new another six? Since we're just like talking about all different bands, have you checked out Sedative from Perth? Have you heard of those guys?
Those guys intimidate the shit out of me.
It's the Kappa. It's the Kappa.
It's the Kappa fit, dude. It's all the
it's the Kappa.
Kappa.
My God.
No,
That
they're
new
great.
song
They
they
are
released
so-
this week was fucking.
I haven't heard it yet, but what's it called?
Very good. Heavy Lies the Head, I think.
Heavy Lies the Head.
Yeah.
Holy.
So good,
I've
man.
heard like a little bit of it and I was like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, they're great.
They
man.
are so cool.
And they're
they're
super nice
so
dudes
cool.
too.
Great dudes, and we get to
Yeah.
meet them. They're
Yeah.
they're coming to Adelaide with Loon again, so we get to see Loon again. And they're coming here with Within Destruction next
Yeah,
month.
true.
So Within Destruction, Sedative, Loon, and then Spectre, who are another band who are really doing good things at the moment as well. So Australia's just going crazy at the
Oh
moment.
yeah, it's a wild.
Like,
Yeah.
it's nuts, man. It's such a good. Like, we've always smashed, like, in terms of like, top 10 bands in the world coming out of Australia. We've always produced heavy hitters for a long time, but like
Yes.
just the ability for bands to get on tours at the moment, because there's so many bands that are tour ready, tour quality, and keen to do it out of COVID. It's just crazy. There's shows like I said I was not going to miss any shows, but I'm having to just purely because there's like too many. I'm like, I can't physically go to all of these. Like,
It's
so
nuts.
yeah, good time.
It
So
is-
in terms of
it
Sugar
is
Spine, then are
amazing.
you gonna play some shows, bro? Or
Yeah, it's going to
Yeah?
happen. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Yeah.
While you're
I've
over
got,
there, or you want to come back here, or both, or
currently the plan is to play music here.
yeah.
Europe is just crazy for live shows at the
Yeah,
moment,
yeah.
and I've made some friends in the Dutch metal scene. There is actually a Dutch metal scene,
Yeah.
despite the size of the country.
Yeah.
Made some really cool friends, and they said, yeah, when you get people together, let me know. We'll make a show.
That's
And
sick.
I actually I met Andreas from Cabal when I was at the Dying Fetus show,
Mhm.
and I said to him kind of as a joke, I was like, all right, when you guys have a headline tour across Europe, we're going to open up for you guys in the Netherlands. He was like, okay. And I was like, I've got a deadline to set now, because that way I can be like, see, we're actually ready.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
But no, I've got guitarists ready now.
Yeah.
So a couple of friends, and
Yeah.
we're just looking for a drummer, and we've got, like, the best thing is that we've got the set list, like we've got the songs to choose from, which is
Yeah.
really helpful.
Yeah.
They're super stoked because it's not a band from the ground up. It's like an already established kind of thing.
Yeah, they just gotta learn the songs. Yeah.
does make life easier. So now it's
Yeah.
just up to me like to write out the guitar tabs on Guitar Pro, which I hate a
Oh,
lot.
we've
But
got, you know what, we've got all these AI tools, but we still don't have a way to transfer sound into tabs. Seriously, whoever's sleeping on that business
it's killing
idea,
me.
get the fuck
It's
on it.
killing me.
Chat GPT
Yeah.
plugin
Yeah.
needs to be fucking-
Please translate to
Convert
Guitar Pro
this.
7 tabs. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kills me, but it's okay. It's worthy if it means that we're going to play live, and I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah,
damn
yeah.
excited. Like, yeah, that's one of the things I'm so excited about with this music is that it is a solo project. It's been always about just writing the music and getting it out there, but I just can't wait to play it live.
Fuck
And,
yeah, dude.
yeah, I'm very excited. And then if I can get it back to Australia, if I have friends back in Australia who can play it live with me as well, then I'd be so grateful to them. So yeah.
Yeah, well,
I
look,
really want
you
that to
never
happen.
know, man. You never know,
Hey, well,
you know.
you're making friends now with a podcast that's interviewing all these bands, and we're starting to build a
True.
network, man. So I'm sure we
True.
can, you know, when
Figure
it
it
comes
out.
time, you're like, hey, man, I'm coming home to Australia. We'll put a post out there and message
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
that we've had on the podcast, and if they like
Yes.
the sound and they're down for it, we'll help you make it happen, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
fucking oath.
So
fucking oath.
cool. Thank you.
What's the
So
point of building
cool.
this network if we're not going to use it to our advantage? you know?
Yeah, for the good of the
the
scene.
greater good. And that's it. And
For the
everyone
greater
loves that,
good.
you know. Everyone loves that camaraderie as well of like, yeah, man, like, you know, we'll help you. The amount of stories we've had. I don't even think there was one the other night about one of the guys who just got to go and, you know, play drums or something for Make Them Suffer on a European tour because something had happened, like that kind of shit where you just like people just
Yeah.
filling in for bands. It's such a cool part of metal. Where because
Yeah.
everyone's
Yeah.
got like the talent and it's just like, all right, man, you learn this shit quickly for us and help us keep this tour going.
Yeah.
Such a
Yeah.
wholesome part of the
Fuck
scene
yeah.
that I love.
It is. It's so cool because I mean, at the end of the day, it's such a small world,
Mm.
and I mean that goes a long way. I'm not saying that people do it for clout, but yeah, I mean that goes such a long way. People know that you're someone to rely on, and then also you're someone who's good at their instrument, and also
Yeah.
like good as a person to hang around with. Like that's so powerful to have as an attribute.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it makes perfect sense.
Without
And
a
plus,
doubt,
who
I
would say
think-
no to jumping from make them suffer?
Nah, not at all, bro. I think
that's
people
exactly
just
right.
like musicians just like to play, but at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
yep,
yep.
they just like to be on stage. So
Yeah.
And they know what it's like if a show can't go ahead or whatever for themselves. So like if they can then stop that from happening to someone else, you know, they're all for
Yeah.
it. And then again, you know, the people in the crowd understand if they know they've got to fill in and they're not listening and critiquing like the missed notes or, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. They're just like, I'm just glad that I didn't have to miss this show. But I wanted to, obviously, we always want to talk about this stuff. And I guess going back to what you were saying about the influences in your last album, it sounds like obviously as well, you've had a fairly crazy time in terms of just like not being in one place for a huge amount of time for years now as well. And that must be hard. And I know part of the reason you reached out to the page was because you saw how much we have a focus around mental health, as well as obviously we love, as you can tell, just to talk about music for forever and ever. But I want to get into the mental health side of things as well. You mentioned in your little message that you sent when you booked it that you used to work for or do some work with Beyond Blue back when you were in Australia. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. That was cool. I think when I was 17 or 18, this is when I was in Brightoner. I actually reached out to Beyond Blue when I was in the band, and I said, "Hey guys, we're a band that kind of focuses on mental health in our music and whatnot, and I was wondering if you had some merchandise that we could give out at our shows." And they said, "Oh yeah, for sure." And they sent us like a box, and it was just like full of blue rubber Beyond Blue bands and all that kind of stuff. So we actually at the shows we would kind of talk about mental health and stuff, and we'd give out those wristbands to the audience, and we just kind of like throw them out and say, if you want to talk, if you want to come talk to us about why we're doing this, or if you just want to. If you want to get something off your chest, come hang out with us after. We're just drinking beers. Like, let's talk. And I kind of kept in touch with the people at Beyond Blue, and they were kind of like, "This is really cool what you're doing." And I said, it is like I find it very fulfilling, and I think it's super important. And they said, "Have you ever thought about becoming a volunteer?" And I said, "Not really." And I was like, "Well, but what do you mean? Like, in what way? Like at events and stuff?" And they said, "Well, what we'd potentially like you to do is just go out to different settings and different areas and just talk about stuff with people, like with an audience, whether it's functions or whether it's to schools, just basically open up the dialogue and talk about what's going on and what Beyond Blue's mission is. And I said, that sounds really fun. I'm 100% in. And I guess at the time, the story that I used to kind of, I guess to get people to kind of open up was that one of my best friends at the time was struggling heavily with depression and anxiety and family stuff as well, and a bit of drug addiction or drug use as a result of coping with all of that. And he went through some major heavy periods, and my position was the person who was trying to help him and
Hmm.
couldn't get through to him.
Yeah.
And I thought, and once I was able to get through to him, I mean, thankfully he's still around. He actually went to rehab for a little while just to kind of, I guess, reset himself and start fresh.
Yeah.
And thankfully he's in a much better place. He's in New Zealand and he's hanging out. He's flourishing.
That's good.
Um, yeah, no, honestly, such a triumphant thing for him. And yeah, I'm so thankful every day that he's still around. Um, Basically, I would go to all these different things and just talk to people about that stuff. And the first function I had was actually at Gosford RSL, and I was a fish out of water because it was just all these 50, 60-year-old guys who were just there on a Saturday afternoon, just having
Yeah.
skewies, just sitting around. I was watching this 18-year-old kid talking about mental health.
Yeah,
I was
you would
like,
have been like,
why am
fuck.
I was like, why am I telling these guys or talking to these
Yeah.
guys about this? Like, we're not connecting. And
Yeah.
I even remember I said, yeah, so, like for me, because I'm in a band currently, and one of them just yelled out, "What, One Direction?" And I was like,
Oh
fuck.
Oh
no.
no.
That's pretty funny though, you gotta
And
admit.
it got a laugh, and it got a
Yeah.
laugh, and I was like, actually, I started One Direction, so thank you for recognizing my face, and that got a laugh. So
Yeah, cool.
thankfully, I knew how to handle that with my
Yeah,
goal, and I was
yeah.
like, please don't freak out about that. But
Yeah.
like I still got a clap at the end of it and stuff, but it wasn't
Yeah.
very amazing. But the next few were super rewarding because they sent me out to Dubbo, and it was to a bunch of different schools. It was to a
Cool.
primary school, a high school, and then to what they call a learning center because it was actually a school for kids who are way too troubled and way
Okay.
too at risk to be in a normal, or
Hmm.
but in a school that has children who are not at risk.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
yeah.
funnily enough, the first two schools who I spoke to, not very receptive, kind of like kids who think that they've got nothing wrong, and so they just kind of like took it as a funny thing. And I was like, whatever. I'm not going to make every kid sit down and go, wow, that is important. Um, but actually, one of them, a girl came up to me after the chat that I did with them, and she said, she was like, it was evident that she was crying, and she came up and said, thank you for coming and talking about this because I haven't realized how messed up I've been. And
Yeah.
I just said, well, let's talk. Like, what's happening? Like, what are you going through? And she said, well, um, about a few weeks ago or something, I told my best friend that I never wanted to see them again. And then the day after that, they killed themselves.
Oh my
And
God.
Dude, full on.
to hear that from a 13, 14-year-old girl, like it broke my heart, man. It was
Yeah.
Jesus. Um, yeah, it was really heavy to hear, and I just said, well, look, first of all, they were your best friend, that they were, and they still are your best friend. So don't
Yeah.
worry, like that they're not going to take that to their grave, and you're not going to take that to your grave either. And like we just had this big conversation about it, and at the end of it, she was just like, I don't know if I wouldn't have been able to have the conversation with a teacher or a parent because
Mm.
um it's like being talked to from a different worldview.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, that moment I was like, well, this is so heavy and it's so powerful though. Um, and then I mean that was just one interaction of the handful I had in that. I think it was a week that I went to Dubbo, and then the third school, which was the learning center, I was sure that I was gonna get ridiculed because all I thought was, why would they believe that a Sydney boy has issues
Mm.
when they're
Yeah.
out in Dubbo? And these are kids that have, just what would you say, just avoided juvenile detention. These are
Right.
kids that are so violent that they can't go to that school, or they've got mental struggles, or they are mentally, what's the word? They've got, I'm gonna, yeah, disabilities, I suppose,
Mm-hmm.
for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I went there, I walked into the foyer and they had photos of me on the wall. And it's like days until arrival, and there was like zero. And I was like, oh, okay, so they've like been expecting me. I'm like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I got into the classroom and there were 30 of them, and they didn't say a single word when I was talking. They were locked in. And
Wow.
I was like, I almost forgot what to say because I was like, they're not throwing things at me. They're not like, get out of here, city boy. Like, it's just
Yeah.
fine. And I was like, okay. And then I finished and they all like applauded and everything. I was like, okay, are they making fun of me? Like, I didn't know if like this was just like a ruse or something, but no, at the end of it, they were all just like surrounding me and being like, this is so cool. Like, we just wanted to speak to someone our age. And that's what kept on hitting me. It's just like all these kids have been talked to by
Talk down to.
teachers.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly right. I guess depending on the adult that's listening to them and being like, "Oh no, you're fine. Like you'll get over this," or whatever it is. But they haven't had someone who's just a little bit older, like let's call it like an elder sibling, to
Mm-hmm.
help them make sense of the things that they are either experiencing or that they might experience soon.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that makes sense because they all crowded around me like they were just like, oh, that's the like yeah, we feel less alone. People understand us, and it's not just our parents telling us what to do. And that was the
Yeah.
important thing as well. I don't tell people what to do when it comes to how they should deal with friends that are struggling or with themselves. I don't say like you need to do this or you need to do that. And maybe that's one thing as well. They kind of felt that there were numerous avenues that were within their own personal reach, and that's I think what they resonated with. So,
Yeah, they related
um,
to you, bro. Like instead of having like a
yeah,
figure, like a teacher or a parent or something that they felt like somewhat disconnected to on well, maybe not a social level, but on a certain level. Then when you
yeah,
came down there, like you were just a dude, you're rolling in, you're not too much older than them. Like you come in there,
mm,
and then you're also presenting yourself, and you're saying, "Hey, it's okay to talk about this. It's okay to do this," and you weren't telling
yeah,
them what to do. They were like, "Fuck, we relate to this guy." Right?
yeah. That's exactly it, man. And yeah, it was just so rewarding to see hope
Mm.
from those kids too, because these are kids that I feel that a lot of people would have written off.
Yeah.
Like I know that if they were in Sydney, people would be like, "Yeah, those are the dead shits. They're the kids
Yeah.
that are not going to get anywhere just because they're pieces of shit." But
Yeah.
like they were just the sweetest people, the sweetest
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
and yeah, just to hear them being like, "Oh man, like you said things that were in my brain, but I was too afraid to talk about or too afraid to
Wow,
say."
that's cool, man.
And yeah, like that hit so hard. So that's something that I've carried with me for a long time, especially, the previous story about the young girl, like that stuff, like I definitely carry with me. And I guess unfortunately I had to stop that stuff just because I was so busy with work and I was busy with studying.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I actually ended up doing a criminology bachelor's degree,
Well, true.
and
Yeah, right.
yeah, focused on like youth development and youth crime as well.
Okay.
So when I did that part as well of my study, I could also understand a lot of what those kids were going through too and how
Mm-hmm.
they
Hmm.
got to where they were. So that was it's like a retrospective moment of, oh, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So
It's one of
yeah,
those.
so I thought,
Yeah, I was just going to say it's one of those things that's interesting. Like I think about that now as well about how what I try to do with my son and what I hear my wife do a really good job of all the time that definitely didn't happen when we were kids was like helping kids understand that like the kids that are acting out or whatever that there's something to that and that it's not a reflection of who they are as a person. It can be a reflection of all of these factors and that we have to be more understanding and that here's the things that you can do to maybe try and like extend an olive branch a little bit and try and help them because we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes and no one explained that to me. And like I remember, so you
mm,
think about like going to school when I was a kid, everyone just writes off the kid that's acting out or being aggressive as that they're just a complete fucking, drop kick and you
yep,
don't want anything to do with them. And then you look back at that now, and now that we know as adults the kind of shit that was going on in these people's lives from, talking to more people as we've grown up and then, becoming to know become friends with those kids, especially like, you know, in the metal scene and stuff as well. How many kids have now were those kids, but have then found an outlet through music or whatever it may be. And they were the ones that in primary school, you know, were flipping tables and whatever, and would have just been completely dismissed by the school, by the system, by, you know, their families potentially. And then everyone at the school's like, wow, stay away from that kid. They're a fucking lunatic. And I think it's so important now that we're like having that conversation around like, hey, like that's the like a symptom, or not symptom, the byproduct of any of these factors, you know what I mean? So like, forget that part of it and think about what you can do to, you know, maybe help them when you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. And I think the more that we educate the younger generation to do that, the less you're going to have these kids that end up in that system, because they just constantly feel like there's no connection with anything. You know, if they've got no connection at home, the school treats them like shit, all the kids at school are avoiding them or, you know, treating them differently, then how are you going to feel a sense of belonging to anywhere? No wonder you start crime, you start this or whatever, because you're just desperate for something to mean something. And I think, you know, as I said, the more that we can educate now to be like, hey, let's look at what might be going on in the background and try and help with that rather than dismissing them, we'll make a huge inroad there.
Yeah, man.
It's so true. There's a theory in criminology called the broken windows theory. Basically, there's, you know, a house starts off with a broken window, and ideally you should kind of clean that up quickly. You should replace the window so it's back to normal and the house is back in good order. However, if you kind of go, it's just a broken window, it's fine, and let it stay there, then you'll find that the week after there might be some graffiti on the wall. And then if you go, I'll clean that up in a second. Oh, damn it. One of the doors is now broken off. Oh shit, there go the rafters. And then the whole house falls down.
Yeah.
And it's kind of how people view relationships and also kids as well. So it's like, if there's a kid that's acting up, it's like, okay, well, let's figure out exactly right now what the issue is. And otherwise, if you let it fester and you leave it there, then they're going to do something worse. They're going to do something worse.
Yeah.
And then next minute, they are now on the worst path imaginable, which is, you know, whether it's to jail or whether it's to something else.
Yeah,
but
causing chaos, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing for sure. It's like you gotta, whether it's like whether you are a parent of that kid or whether you are someone in the what would you call it, in the vicinity of that kid who has the ability to do something, to intervene, then I feel it's like your moral obligation to prevent anything worse from happening. But it's so hard as well. Like, you know, there are so many things that you can't see, whether it's, you know, whether it's a kid who has, you know, ADD, whether he's got anger management, the kid for whatever gender has anger management issues, you know, anything. Like, it's so hard to kind of figure out. Even, you know, maybe it could be on the spectrum, and then he could have just anything. So yeah, it's very difficult to figure out. But then at the same time, if you are lucky enough or if you are in tune enough with that kid, then you can potentially, you know, I guess ultimately save a life, because at the end of the day, you know, you got to have a life that's actually valuable. So if you can have value to that life, then it's saved.
Yeah. You're exactly right, man. And I just think, again, it's just a testament to how far we're coming. You know, I didn't even really click to it until you were talking about what you were dealing with. And I was like, yeah, wow, that's so important that I have that conversation with my son, and that I hear my partner all the time be like, you know, he'll say something like, oh, so-and-so is just always getting in trouble. And then I'll hear my wife go like, well, look, you don't know what's going on. No one had that conversation with me. My mum was probably going, oh yeah, their parents are fuckheads. You know what I mean? Again, because the education wasn't there for my parents either to know how to handle these things. So it's like there is I like to always try and cling to, you know, what is the differences that are tangible now about how we are changing our approach towards, you know, understanding mental health or any of those things. And it's definitely getting a lot better. Look, I'm sure there's plenty of parents that aren't having that conversation with their kids though, but hey, if we are, I'm sure others are, then it's the start of a movement towards a better understanding and, you know, just giving everyone a sense of belonging. And I think that's, again, you know, why the music and mental health thing ties in for us so well, and why I believe so, because that's what metal especially, or heavy music, has been for everyone. We always talk about going to Unify in Tarwin Lower there, and it's just like this, the vibe that you just get, it's like, you know, being at a show times 10,000. There's no drama the whole time. You've got 10,000 people, BYO alcohol, like on a myriad of everything under the sun, from, you know, from like MDMA to fucking ketamine, and everyone is just having the time of their lives.
You never hear of any like brawls and like issues.
There's no police presence really at all either. Like you've got 10,000 people. You get 10,000 people at a dance festival. You've got one cop for every 10 people in the place, you know, and there's just shit going on the whole day. Also, like, and it's an interesting thing, like just the overdoses and like people like, you know, vomiting or whatever. You don't even see that. You've got 10,000 people at a 4-day festival, and you're not in the pit and watching people get carried out because they're like vomiting or like, you know, whatever. Because everyone, you know what I mean? Like people are there for the right reasons, and like, you know, they want to enjoy themselves. It's so important that they get to see the music and whatever. So like no one even writes themselves off. Like you get to see what happens at dance festivals and stuff. Like I just always am in awe of how and I guess that's a good question. Have you got to go to any of the big festivals over in Europe?
Not yet.
But you gotta get that on the bucket list, man.
There's one called Jera on Air, and that's got a huge number of bands that I'm super stoked on seeing. Like Counterparts is going to be there, so I have to be there. But yeah, that's a big festival that I'm excited to go to. I haven't been to a festival, like a proper metal festival, since Soundwave. 2014.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, if it's Soundwave, then fuck. Like,
it's a while ago.
Soundwave. Yeah. It was the one that was headlined by System of a Down and Slipknot.
Yeah. Oh no, that's 2012. That's 2012 because that's I went to.
So you haven't been to a festival in over 10 years, bruv.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been to gigs, but I haven't been to festivals in over 10 years. And
now you're in the heartland of like metal festivals as well. Like Europe is.
You drive to Germany and do like Wacken or whatever it is.
Yeah, dude. There's so many.
Yeah, for
I don't know if they still do like Sonosphere or all of there's so many good ones.
Rockham Ring and shit.
There's so much to do. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe part of it's also like I'm not a massive fan of like big crowds as well.
Yeah.
Not a massive fan, but at the same time, I think I'm kind of happy just dealing with that if it means I get to see some really cool bands. Like I had the best time of my life at Soundwave. That's actually how I found out about a band called Let Live, because I left Slipknot early. Yeah, I left Slipknot early, which is something that I would never really do if I were with the real me, to go see a band called Your Demise, because Your Demise also heavily influences Sugar Spine. Like,
cool.
At least Ignorance Never Dies, the first LP they did with the original vocalist Rob Noble, I think his name. So I was like, I have to go see these people, even though it's the new vocalist. I just have to go see them. So I got there early, and there was this band playing, and I was like, the guy's shoving a mic in his mouth, screaming without using his hands. And then he throws the mic like 3 meters into the air with his mouth. I was like, who the fuck is this band? It turns out to be Let Live.
No shit.
And I was like, I think I just found my new favorite band. And I did. Like, I love Let Live so much. I've got them tattooed on my ankle right next to Stick to Your Guns.
Sick.
So I was really lucky that I left Slipknot early to go see Your Demise, and I found that band. But yeah, so I had the best time at that festival. So I do want to do that again for sure.
Yeah, fucking oath,
it's funny,
man.
That's
said so good.
You've said two bands off a lineup of one of my favorite shows of all time so far in this podcast. It was 2015.
No way.
It was Architects, Stick to Your Guns, Being as an Ocean, and then Stories was the like
Stories,
Australian
Stories and Stories.
And like, so it was at a club here in Adelaide that's now closed, and it was like the best place for live music. It was a nightclub. It was our biggest nightclub. It won like Australia's best nightclub for like 10 years in the running. But live music there, metal there, was just because the sound system was just incredible. And so seeing bands there was just insane. That gig, and it was Architects, like they've just released, Lost Forever, Lost Together, and it was just bananas. And then Stick to Your Guns and Being. I hadn't heard Being as an Ocean until that show, and I was like, these guys are fucking sick. And and Stick to Your Guns were amazing, and it was just one of my favorite shows of all time. Sam Carter had long hair, like it was a while ago.
For sure.
Well, this leads perfectly into a segment that we like to do called Song of the Week.
Oh,
And we haven't done this
we haven't
one for
done
the last few. We didn't do it last week with Nathaniel of Loon.
We didn't.
So
we dropped the ball.
we didn't do it. But if you guys don't know your song of the week, I've got mine off the bat here that I can.
Can I guess what it is?
Yeah, you can guess. Go
Can I
on.
guess?
Wait. Is it like, as in the a song you've been listening to just this week?
Yeah, like
yeah.
you know, it could be
I
the
don't
last
think
couple
you're
of weeks.
really spamming
Something,
the shit out of
something you're really digging lately. Yeah.
Am I allowed to cheat and get my phone?
We've all got our phones here.
Is yours the Rising Insane song?
It is, bro.
Yeah, dude.
It is. It's Drag Me Under by Rising Insane.
Have you heard of that band?
No.
Oh, dude. Go and listen to that as soon as we get off the podcast.
I was
and
actually
message me on
like...
Instagram. It is
Rising
a banger.
Insane.
What a cool band name as well. Something actually a bit different. Like,
yeah.
Rising Insane.
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know. I just like it. It's a little bit. It's got 2 words for starters. That's always a advantage over the other 5,000 bands that have got 1-word names.
Yeah. Well, it says here they're from Northern Germany, so they're pretty like they're a European band.
You might be able to see them before we're going to see
them. Yeah. So they released Rising Insane, like literally in the last week or two, I think it was. And it's just fucking incredible, bro. Like I'd never heard it, and it just popped up on an ad on Instagram as I was going through reels and shit. And then I was like, fuck, I need to give this a sus. And then I was blown away. And like ever since then, it's got my song of the week for this week.
Yep. That's a good choice. I got mine as well, actually, on the back of that, while we give Josh a little bit more time to think of his. Fresh off, we've talked about this show a lot lately. We've talked a lot about Relica and Loon, but for me, my song of the week is a song by Heartline, who are the main support on that band, and it's As the Crow Flies, and it's got a fucking sick breakdown at the end of it. They're just they want to jump on the pod as well, so I reached out to them this week after we dropped the Loon episode, and we're going to get those boys from Adelaide on. But Heartline, I can see them becoming another big force in Australia, and it's cool to see them getting on Australian tours. I think that was their first Australian tour with Relica and Loon, so have a feeling they'll be around a lot more. But As the Crow Flies is a absolute banger. So over to you, Josh. Beautiful. What have you got for us?
What have we got?
Okay, so I was going to say something by Cabal because I've been spamming that album, Magno and Terratus, for a while now. Like that's an insanely heavy album and it's so good. But no, the actual song I want to say is Winds of Change by Polar.
Okay.
UK,
I haven't heard of Polar
UK
before.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah, UK band. It's like a mixture of Your Demise and Architects, and the vocalist has. I was thinking about this last night. He sounds like a mixture of. I think it was like a really cool mixture. American Me and something else, but
what was the song again?
But Polar Winds of Change.
Okay,
cool.
It's the first song off their brand new album, Everywhere Everything, and I don't know. So I was walking to a restaurant last night, and it was dark, and this song was playing, and it's just this beautiful, like atmospheric, powerful, cinematic kind of breakdown, and for some reason, looking at the yellow, like warm lights of a restaurant that I was walking past while having the song on, just made me emotional.
Cool.
And it kind of caught me off guard, and I was like, well, it's like I'm a relatively emotional person, but I didn't think I was emotional enough to start like getting teary eyed looking at lights. So I was like, what the fuck is going on with me?
Yeah.
It was just kind of like just a very, very cozy and beautiful moment inside my head while I was all rugged up in the cold, and I was just like, this is really, really nice. I should just like cancel dinner and just stand here. But amazing. I'm gonna say Winds of Change by Polar.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, there we go. We've got a couple of different song choices for everybody to go over and whatnot. So should we roll into the final segment that we do every time? We have a predetermined bunch of questions that we ask each of our guests called the Questions. And do you want to hit him with number one, J-Man?
Yeah, while we're talking about music, we love throwing this one out there. Maybe you already know by the look on your face, but what is your favorite song of all time?
You're Not You Anymore by Counterparts.
Holy shit, that's almost the record. We've had a couple of people that have had it, But that might have been we're gonna have to get a
That might
speed
even
gun
be
out.
preloaded. I feel like he might have preloaded that
he
one.
might have,
No,
but,
I actually forgot that question. But
Yeah,
people ask
no
what a
shit.
question, like that question, I go, that's it. Or
Yeah.
Moonlight in Vermont by Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you
beautiful.
mentioned her before, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
as a big
she's the
your
best.
favorite jazz.
Yeah.
If you listen to something that's not metal, listen to Moonlight in Vermont by Ella
Okay.
Fitzgerald. It is beautiful.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Sweet. But obviously, Counterparts, like classic band. They've been around forever and a day now, haven't they? They've.
Yeah. I think their first album came out 2008.
Yeah.
Something like
that
that.
sounds about
Prophets.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Yeah, no,
speaking of jazzy influences, last little thing before we roll into the other questions. Have you heard the band? What is it, Tyres? I'm thinking of it with the saxophone.
You're talking about Dreamwake.
Dreamwake. Have you heard Dreamwake?
No.
Okay. Add that one to your list as well.
Paradise by Dreamwake.
Paradise by Dreamwake has this like massive saxophone
part
section, and it fucking slaps. Have you heard Novelists?
Yes.
Novelists. So think Novelists with saxophone. That's really
Yeah. It's fucking cool, man.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's very
Dreamwake, what was the song called again?
Paradise.
That one's called Paradise.
Thank
But
you.
my favorite of theirs, which doesn't have saxophone, but it's just a fucking banger, is Luna.
Luna. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Luna, and
I
that's
like
the song that I was like, this is like peak Novelist. It's real good.
Yeah.
Real
It's
good.
that
Wow.
technical, like virtuoso kind of
Yeah.
guitar playing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm excited now. You've got a few things to come back, so I'll be waiting for the messages in the old IG DMs about, all right, you're onto something here with these picks. So,
Yeah,
All
for
right.
sure. Last time I
All
heard
right.
good saxophone in a metal song was The Faceless in Akeldama, I think the album is called.
I don't think I've
Yeah,
heard
I think
that.
that was it.
yeah.
It's like a technical death metal band.
Okay.
And yeah, they throw some saxophone in there. My
Ooh.
God, it's like when you put, I don't know, honey in your coffee. I don't do that, but
No
I've heard the people
shit.
love the shit out of it. It's
Yeah.
like
That's
it's
cool.
like, oh,
And that's what it does
But,
with Dreamwake as well. Like, because you don't know what's coming in that song, but it just, they go on this massive like
Ooh.
solo, and you're just like, dude, this, like, how is this not in every
It's a
fucking
vibe. Yeah.
How does not every metal album have like at least one song with a fucking saxophone solo? It just goes so
yeah.
well. All right, man. We'll hit him.
saxophone.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you've got the trumpet talent. You might as well.
Yeah,
And
you might
many
as well
other
get it
talents,
into
you
the
might as well-
saxophone. Yeah.
I'll just translate it. Shall we
Yeah,
go?
surely it couldn't be that difficult, could it? You could
That's
go from
right.
trumpet to saxophone.
I can make a noise out of a saxophone. I just need to get the keys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to look
Half the
forward to
battle.
your release off the album after this one, mate.
Yeah, with
we'll have the
saxophone solos.
going.
Yeah. All right. Question number 2.
hit him with it.
Who is your favorite comedian or comedic actor?
Oh, that's a good one. Favorite comedian
Or comedy actor if you're not.
or
a
comedy
massive-
actor?
Yeah, stand-up fan.
Oh.
Either one.
No, I was watching a guy the other day. What? Hang on, you got okay. What are your guys' favorite? While I think about this, because I could just be
What did
silent.
you
for
did?
like
You did
a
Louis
minute.
C.K. didn't you,
Mine's,
J-Man?
mine's Louis C.K.
Yeah, and I
Louis
did
CK, of
Russell
course.
Peters when I answered it, and I still stick by
Yeah,
that.
okay.
I fucking like Russell
That's-
Peters a lot, man. He's funny.
That's
as fuck.
really good, actually.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
I
who
do
my
like
favorite.
Bert Kreischer.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's in
yeah,
Europe right now,
yeah.
I reckon, or he was just in Europe. I know
Oh,
he was
no
just
way.
over there. Yeah. I
I
saw he
didn't
was
know
just
that.
doing a European tour, but yeah, he's great, man. I love him. I listen to Two Bears, One Cave, like pretty religious. I was literally listening to it early this morning while I was doing overtime, actually. I love Tom Segura as well. He's very good.
Yeah.
And them two play well with each
Yeah.
other. But one of my favorite up and comers at the moment, and I was actually watching his YouTube special last night, is Shane Gillis. Have you guys seen any of
Yeah.
his stuff?
Nah, I haven't.
He's amazing. You would really like him, Tyes, because
Yeah?
you very much like the shit that I like. And
Yeah,
he's just
sick.
this. Yeah, he's great. Very, very funny. Just
seen some
reminds
of
me
his
of
stuff
myself,
too.
just a loose beer drinking like maniac. And they're always my kind of people. So
Fuck yeah.
People.
all right,
That's
question
tough.
number 3, my
Yeah.
man. What is your experience, or have you had any have you ever meditated, and what's your experience with it if you have?
You know what? I have tried, and I don't think I was in the place to properly appreciate it mentally
Mhm.
because I was going through it being like, when is this going to finish? Because I've got so much shit to do.
And then that's basically
Uh,
not what you want when you're meditating at all.
I concur.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend also does yoga, and she's been trying to get me to do yoga. And every time I do it, I'm like, oh, I can't do this, position and this and that. And I'm just very impatient. Like I'm wired. Like I don't
Yeah.
sleep very well. Um, like when I fly back to Australia or to the Netherlands, I don't sleep on flights, so I can be awake for like 50 hours and function like a normal human being. Like I just am awake. But recently, however, I have kind of noticed that I do need to slow down because I know that uh, I'm like sprinting towards the edge of a cliff, I feel. So I need to do something to really chill myself out. So I've recently bought a journal and I'm just starting to write my thoughts down.
Awesome.
And which is really weird because normally I just write music and that's my journaling. But now I'm doing more free form writing just to kind of let my brain vomit a little bit with zero
Yeah.
format whatsoever. I could just write like
Yeah.
banana pancakes and just be like, okay, cool, that's a good day. I'm in the journal. But meditation is something that I've spoken with a few people about recently, and they're like, dude, you need to do it. Like it's gonna calm you down. It's 10
Mm.
minutes of your day. If you spend 10 minutes on the toilet, that's also time well used where you're not doing anything. You're just
Mm.
scrolling through Instagram. So why don't you just use that to do literally nothing? And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that's
Yeah.
actually a fair point. So I've struggled with it, but I want to do it seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. The journaling thing, and look, we talk about this a lot, but even that can be classed as meditative, right? So if you're like just blocking everything else out and just focusing on the process of like writing that stuff down, like I think
Yeah.
we've kind of pigeonholed what meditation is. And I think the reason we ask that question and try and invoke that is because we've kind of realized through everyone that we've talked to that like when you're locked into writing a song or like recording, like a guitar, that can be, I believe that is meditative because you're not focused on your bills
Yeah.
or whatever. It's that one tunnel vision task and you're blocking the rest of the noise out. I think that is as much. We've tried to like think like you've got to block everything out and that's meditation. But like, and then so everyone struggles with that concept when they go to do it because they can't shut completely off. Whereas I think stuff like gaming, you've mentioned that earlier, that's my meditation. Like I'm not worried about the stresses of work or bills or, the argument I've had with my brother or whatever the hell it is when I'm playing
Yeah.
games. I'm focused on shooting that dickhead in the head, like, and that's the only thing I care about at that moment. I think that is a form of meditation. And so yeah, like you've probably got elements of that actually, for you, a bit of gaming, not 10 hours a day, I'm sure is probably where it tips over into not meditation and
Yeah.
and
Yes.
excess. But
A bit too much.
yeah, but look, starting the journaling and that as well, man, that's definitely a form of that because you are just like slowing down, doing something and not being stressed about the rat race or whatever because you're getting stuff out there and feeling that release. That's meditative, man. So I
Yeah.
think maybe you're further along the
So
journey than
true.
you think.
Maybe that's very true. Now that you say that, a couple of weekends ago, I had the whole day to myself for writing music, and I said to myself, I'm just going to sit down and I'm just going to write a song, and because I had the bones of the track, but I wanted to write it, and I started at like 9 o'clock, and I finished recording it at 2 in the morning, and I realized that I had only gotten up to pee once, and
I
that
know
was
the
it.
vibes. I know the vibes.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's 2 in the morning. And then once my body realized that, like the hunger just like smacked me. And I was like, oh, it's like ran downstairs, just like eat chocolate or something just to like get rid of that horrible feeling. But yeah, so
Yeah.
there you go. Like I lost
Yeah.
like however many hours that is. That's like a solid 15 hours or something just
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
writing music. So
Fuck yeah,
um,
man.
maybe you're definitely onto something. Maybe I already am meditating just
Yeah,
with a
Yeah.
guitar.
that's it. Well, for me personally, I think my meditation is going to the gym in the morning. So I go to the gym every morning, basically. And even though it's not necessarily sitting there doing nothing, like I'm physically lifting heavy, but like it's
Yeah.
just more so about being in your own in your own self and not like worrying about what's external. I think that's what we're trying to class as meditation.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah, as you said about pigeonholing it, I did kind of have it in mind where I'd be sitting down, not doing the home stuff, but more like
Mm,
just sitting down and just closing your eyes and just trying to shut your brain off. But yeah, maybe that just doesn't work for me because I can't just shut my brain off. But
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
Exactly.
if it is doing something that basically just channels A, your breathing, and then B, just your mindfulness about one specific thing, then that's pretty cool.
Well, I even
Yeah.
think like as weird as it is, right? So I walk like every day. I'll always go for like a few Ks, especially because I work from home. So I'm at this desk fucking, 40 hours a week. So I have to walk. And on days where it's like 40 degrees outside or whatever, and I can't walk, like it makes such a difference because of how like important it is to, feeling good. But like there's a difference between when I walk and I listen to a podcast, I have a different feeling. Like I love it. And it's one of my favorite things to do. But when I walk and I listen to music, it feels more introspective because like I'm kind of just like listening to the music and I'm with myself rather than when you're listening to a podcast, you're kind of like tuning into the conversation. You feel like, you're a part of something. Whereas like so it kind of feels external. You're like listening to something external to yourself. Whereas when I listen to music, then I'm just with myself. So like I'll listen to podcasts like probably 70% of the time when I'm walking because it kills the time kind of thing quicker. And when I'm driving as well. But then I make a habit of like, you know what, today it's a music day. Like, let's go for a walk with music because it's like, it's a different feeling. And it's like, that introspective, I'm kind of spending time with my thoughts as opposed to spending time being distracted from them. So it's interesting as well, like how even just those kind of subtle, recognizing the differences in that and kind of leaning towards it because you know that it offers something different, I think is super important as well.
Yeah.
That's really true. It's almost like you're finding the right vibration to resonate with what's happening within, in a way.
Yep.
Because sometimes you wake up and be like, oh, I feel like listening to something a bit more chill, and you might, walk along the street, listen to Marvin Gaye or something like that. But then other days you'd be like, it feels like an alpha wolf kind of morning.
That's
exactly
100%.
Walks aggressively down the street.
No, that's right. I do it because like I love like EDM bangers and shit like that. Like I love old school like Porter Robertson, Dead Mouse, like the stuff that like when I was going to town back in the day was like what was going on, and so like you have those mornings where I wake up and I'm like, when I go for my walk today, it's listen to Strobe, the 10-minute song by Dead Mouse while I'm walking, and then the next day it's like give me Never Bloom by Make Them Suffer. It's different strokes for different folks on some days, that's for sure.
That's it.
Have you found when you've been walking that you listen to a song that's like super energetic and then you've started jogging?
Or you just notice yourself, picking
up the pace.
Like, absolutely.
Or the opposite. If you listen to something chill and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm walking really fucking slow right now. Like,
I'm on a bench. I didn't even realize. I'm laying down. All right. Question number 4.
Let's hit him with it. Give me 3 things that you're grateful for today.
Okay, my upbringing.
Okay, we haven't had that before. That's cool.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't had that answer, and I really like it. So.
Yeah, I like that.
There you go. You're knocking off the first time.
Yeah.
You're breaking records.
It's 6 a.m. where he is, and he's thinking about his upbringing. Like it's fucking great.
I'm an introspective guy.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
100% my upbringing. I'm so grateful to my parents for the way that I grew up, the house I lived in and the place I lived in and the school I went to and everything. It wasn't a prep, it was just like a primary school, like a public primary school, but they chose the right one. And they fostered my love for music, and they're not really music people, but they fostered my love for music and for sport and for asking questions, for taking responsibility for myself. Even though I still struggle with that a lot. They're just the best people on the planet, and I'm so grateful for them. The second thing is I'm grateful to my girlfriend as well, because she keeps my head screwed on when it's definitely loose and about to fall off most of the time. And then I'm also, the third one. I'll probably get off this and be like, I was grateful for that.
Yeah. You'll have a list of 10 things you've been thinking of, like.
Yeah. I'm also grateful for just my ability to understand how to write and make music, because I think without the music that I have and my ability to write the stuff and really just put into music form exactly what I'm feeling, I think without that I'd probably just an absolute mess. So I'm also just grateful to the people who have helped me develop musically over the years, whether that's my guitar tutor, my trumpet tutor, people I've found on YouTube. It's like how to sing or how to scream or whatever it is. I'm grateful to every single person who's helped me musically.
That's amazing, man.
Awesome. They were really good, man. You did a good job. And now for some fun.
Thanks.
With a final question to wrap it all up. The one that everyone is the only one they're worried about.
What are you guys thankful for?
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
That's I don't think we answered this ourselves the first time we did
Yeah.
it, but we haven't had a guest put it back on us.
No, we haven't, have we? You go
I'll
first today, J-Man.
I'll probably answer this again, but man, I'm grateful for this podcast. I've definitely answered it with that question before, but every time, like, we've just had another amazing chat. Thank you so much again for getting on here at 4:45, whatever it was that you jumped on. But it just allows us, like, you know. Oh, no, I'm actually going to Ryan's house tonight. Oh, it's his birthday today. We haven't actually called it out on the podcast.
Yeah.
I did put a beautiful post on your
Happy
wall. I don't know if
birthday.
you've seen it yet,
Thank you.
You know, I put the video on your wall. Did you see the post?
Yeah. Of us
so
at Unify. Yeah.
We were talking about Unify earlier, right? And so we're at this festival and we were walking around to everyone, like, and we were saying, like, oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Can I possibly trouble you for? And you see their face ready, like, is he going to ask for a durry?
Cigarette?
Is he going to ask for, like, beers or something else? And then so you were watching them be like, oh, what does this giant dickhead want? And then we were just going for a shucker bra and asking him. And then, like, they would realize and then start laughing.
They'd be like, yeah.
And so I've got the video on the podcast TikTok. So I posted it on his wall this morning just as a reminder of our absolute, just the most metal festival thing.
Yeah.
We also saw these guys, right? So they were like building wizard sticks that, like, you've played Wizards before, I'm sure, where you tape your beer to the bottom of your last beer kind of thing. You've seen that at least played.
Yeah.
So everyone was playing that at the festival, like all the different people. And then they were like getting on each other's shoulders and like jousting with their wizard sticks until like security broke it up. But like they literally had a crowd of like a good 500 people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
People joust with beer wizard sticks. I'm like, this is just the most fucking metal thing of all time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
amazing.
I'm grateful for this podcast, and I'm grateful for I went to a suicide intervention course last week, and I wanted
to ask about that.
Yeah, it was incredible, just absolutely incredible. One of the coolest things I've ever been a part of, as much as I guess anything could be cool when you're talking about heavy subject matter, but it's just really made a difference to me and kind of shown kind of cemented even more how passionate I am about making a difference in this space, and giving me heaps of ideas about where I would kind of want to take myself, you know, in my career, or just things that I want to be involved in, you know, helping the community in more ways than, you know, just this podcast, which I think is already doing a great job, but there's always more that we can be doing. So, yeah, I'm just super grateful to the Next Step Australia for giving me the opportunity to jump in and do that course, and you know, being able to now have something tangible to show as, like, you know, accreditation of my ability to kind of help people in that space, more than just that I'm a passionate dude. So, yeah, that's it for me. Ryan, how about you? What are you grateful for, man?
I think like to kick it off, really for me is my friends and family for how they've, like, you know, really made me feel like today. Like, you know, I don't know, I've never been one that, like, you know, celebrates birthdays too hectically, but like today I've just felt so fucking loved, man. Like, and it's so cool. Like, it's actually so cool. So yeah, my friends and family, yeah, massive shout out to everybody. I love you all so much. And then the second thing I'd say is my health. So having that surgery a month ago, then like the 2 weeks after that, got like not being able to go to the gym, and like just sitting there, like not being able to really do work, and just being fucked out and all the painkillers and shit. And I was like, fuck, like I don't feel healthy. And now that I'm kind of like, I've like almost recovered, and I'm going to the gym back, you know, 5-6 times a week again. And I'm just really grateful for my health as well. So yeah, my friends and family for supporting me with everything I do, and my health.
Beautiful.
That's awesome.
All right, now on to the fun
Let's
stuff.
do it.
Question number 5, drum roll. Would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses, and why? That jumper's dope, by the way, but
yeah, that's killer. That's fucking killer.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wore it to the Dying Fetus concert, and I thought it was a perfect fit.
Yeah, fuck it over, bro.
It's a very pink sweater. The light's kind of fading that out, but yeah, I felt very cute.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm going to say a horse-sized duck.
Okay.
Because I have a huge affinity with birds. Like, I don't know what it is. You know, like when Snow White starts singing to all the little finches on the tree in the film? That's me. That's 100% me.
You're the pigeon whisperer.
Oh yeah, like I can speak with cockatiels. Like I used to have a cockatiel, and we literally talked to each other. And then me and my girlfriend went to a pet store recently, and I was literally just speaking with the cockatiels in the cage and stuff, and just like handling them. And then yeah, she was just like, "The fuck? Like, what?
Yeah,
How are
yeah,
you doing
yeah.
this?" So yeah, I would not fight the duck because I'd end up becoming friends with it, and then I'd be able to use it as a trusty steed.
Oh,
Yeah, there you
okay.
go.
All
Trusty
right.
Yeah.
steed.
So we'd
Trusty
like
fucking
that.
steed.
he'd do that what that guy does in Jurassic Park where he's like puts his hand up to him and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old Chris Pratt.
yeah.
For sure.
Well,
That's 100% it.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, I
dope,
just want
man.
to say thank you again so much for jumping on, for getting on in this ungodly hour, for having a fantastic conversation. Before we let you go, quickly plug everything Sugar Spine. Where they can find you? What's the way to search you on Instagram or whatever?
Well, first of all, thank you both so much for having me on. I think it was such a cool discussion to have, and it's touched on things for me personally that I haven't thought about in quite a while as well. And
Amazing.
that's both kind of melancholy, but it's also really nice as well because it kind of reminds me of the things that I have carried and I've also kind of put away. Just maybe it's too heavy to deal with, but
Yeah.
no, I really appreciate that we've touched on those things, and I'm so thankful that for the time that you guys have given me today.
Oh, thank
So
you, man. Yeah,
thank
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
That means the world.
Yeah, so I guess Sugar Spine is releasing a new album this year, I would say in the middle. Hasn't been properly released yet, but production is underway. It's going to have 10 songs on it. It is going to have a bunch of really, really cool vocalists doing some guest spots on it.
Sick.
Ooh.
Sick.
I don't want to spoil it yet.
Nah,
but all
let
I
it-
can
let it
say
simmer,
is
let it
that,
simmer.
all I can say is that for people who are listening, and not watching, I'm wearing the beanie of the band right now.
Yeah.
And for the other two, I'm not going to say anything. Especially one of
okay.
them, like I didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And this guy doesn't really do guest spots. But then he said to me, as soon as I heard the song, I was 100% in. And I was like, holy
Oh, wow.
shit.
Man, I'm hype as fuck, bro. I can't wait.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
I'll tell you after who it is, but I can't.
All right.
I don't want to say it here.
All right,
I'm so
all right,
keen, man.
all right.
I literally started dancing in the rock climbing gym when I got the
Yeah,
message
fucking
that,
oath.
that he
That's
was
how you
keen
know you're
for
like,
it.
yeah, I'm keen, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had to explain to my friend why I was so happy about someone screaming, and he didn't get it because he's not really into
I just
metal.
don't get it.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, Throatful of Ash is out. That's able to list to be streamed everywhere. It's on YouTube, all the fires, all the streaming services. But yeah, a new song coming out, I would say around April, and I think that's the main thing. Honestly, just to follow me, Sugar Spine. I think it's sugar.spine or something like that on Instagram.
Yep.
You'll find it. There's not many bands called Sugar Spine I've found,
Yeah,
which is kind of
yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
And that's it. Listen to my music and scream.
Amazing. Well, Josh,
yeah,
mate,
man.
thank you so much for your time, man. We really appreciate it. It's been an awesome chat. It's actually been a really good chat. So, yeah, thanks for getting up
Yeah,
early
thank-
and, tuning in all the way from Europe, man.
And hopefully you'll
Thank
be
you
back in
very
Oz
much.
one time, and we might be able to, organise a catch up in person, and hopefully you'll be playing on stage as well. That's the hope
yeah.
I've got for the future.
I'm looking forward to this compilation album.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're
Let's
going to
make
have
that
to
shit
do it, man.
happen.
We're
I
gonna
think
have
it's a
to
great
do it.
idea,
Fucking
so-
oath. All right,
That
mate. We'll
sounds
let you
good,
go.
guys. Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Josh.
you so much. We'll speak soon.
Thanks, mate.
I bet there's no picture of the only solution there is, but it precisely in this direction. The colors was so bright and defined, but you just went ahead and decided to let yourself down. You can't even blame it on errors or oversights. It was just plain quantity. Moments is in, give me the grin in your pocket, then give me an idea of pain. It was a lesson, taking the
ever since I remember that my sediment decline. My lungs breathed in the hope of some more life. The reciprocation I used to recognize in mankind. Kinda disappointed to say that I think it was over.